real treat for all you folks today on Startup Central. I'm being joined by the first little master, cricketing legend, Sunil Gavaskar. Why am I getting Sunil Gavaskar on Startup Central? Well, because he has invested in a startup which is in the business of board games. Binka Games is as it's called. Mr. Gavaskar, thank you so much for joining us here on ET Now. I know I told you this earlier, but I'm saying it now on television. My father is green with envy that I'm getting a chance to interview you and not him. But thank you so much for joining us here. Binka Games. How did this happen? How did Binka Games convince you to invest, and what impressed you about Binka Games?
But before I answer that question, please convey my sincere thanks to your father for all the prayers and wishes during the time that I played, because surely those prayers and wishes made a difference. The number of times you get dropped in slips is only because of the prayers and wishes of, a well-wisher like him. So thank him for that. And, getting involved with Binka Games was quite easy because when I was growing up, we didn't have television, we weren't encouraged to go to the cinema so much. So I think we played card games. We played cards at home in the evenings with the family as well. With my mother, I remember playing the game, Marathi game, Pac Tin Don. And then you played rummy when you went on tours with the Ranji Trophy team, again because we traveled by train then, not by air. So the boys sat together to pass time. If you were traveling to Ahmedabad or to Kolkata by train to pass time, we played cards. Now everybody is into video games, and suddenly I see this game, a card game, which is connected to what I am, cricket, because of what I am cricket, and I really got very interested. I thought the game was quite catching. It was addictive in the sense that you play it and it brings out the competitive instinct in you. You play it, you lose, you want to again try and play it because you want to win, and it was quite addictive. So it was quite easy when they approached me to be a part of this venture. I said, yeah, sure, let's get going. After all, as somebody who started the innings, I said, well, let me start up with a startup here.
So you're starting up with a startup, and clearly the idea perhaps being to also get the kids away from their Xboxes. Now you've got virtual reality games and all of that.
Exactly, because I do believe, like I was brought up with the thought that if you watched cinema, your eyes would get spoiled. I do believe that if you're playing a lot of these Xbox games, etc., and focused on that, with the light that comes from there, maybe your eyes do actually get spoiled. Also, I believe that that is a game. I mean, I haven't really played those games, but that is probably a game that you're playing, with an instrument. Here, you're playing against another person. You're sitting across the table and playing against a person, and like I said, it brings out the competitive instinct in you. It also actually teaches you that you can lose and how to take a loss graciously. So in that aspect, I thought this game was fantastic.
Mr. Gavaskar, I know that you should never ask someone anything about money, especially to a gentleman, which you really are. But I'm going to attempt this. How much have you invested in Binka Games? Are you a big shareholder too?
No. I'm not a big shareholder, but I've invested a bit. Which I like I said, because this is my initial foray into.
What is a bit?
Well, it all depends, I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? But let's say it's not quite close to a century. Let's say it's not quite close to a century.
A century in crores, in lakhs, in thousands?
Well, no, not a lot. But really, I think I do hope that I'm pretty confident that this venture will take off, for the simple reason it's not just this one game. I think they've developed some other games as well, which are quite exciting. I actually did play one of their games, earlier games called Fletter, when we were doing the extra innings during the IPL. And during the break between our recording, we were doing this, and we didn't realize that the cameras were on, and the kind of sort of competitive instinct we had at that, and with the other with the anchor, etc. And screaming and fighting about that. That was actually shown on the show. So I've already played one game of theirs, and I think therefore this game really attracted me.
They also have a drinking game. Have you played that?
No, no, I haven't played the drinking game. No, no, I don't want to try that game at the moment. No.
Mr. Gavaskar, you brought up how the cameras was zooming in, and I remember that actually very clearly. I do watch a lot of cricket. Is that something you're going to do as someone who likes Pinka games, as you're trying to popularize, bring back board games? Do you think you could perhaps, because of what you do, popularize these games, maybe in the commentator room, or once again accidentally, or maybe by purpose, have the camera zooming in?
Yeah, well, I think it would be a good idea because often we just tend as soon as your commentary stint is over, you tend to look at your phones to see some messages or to see some videos that have been sent. Rather than that, it might be an idea just to to play this game. And look, and considering the kind of hours that we spend waiting for our flights to be called from various destinations, when we as a commentary group are traveling. Actually, it might be a fantastic idea just to be able to play this game with the fellow commentators and the fellow TV crew and see how it goes. In fact, we could actually end up maybe having kind of a champion for it. That's actually, you've given me a very good idea. I think that's something that I'm going to try over the next few flights.
I hope you will give me royalty for that as well. But Mr. Gavaskar, the other thing I want to ask you this, and I'm saying this...
A little bit.
A century would be very nice. But Mr. Gavaskar, I remember about 2 weeks ago, I was absolutely horrified that my little nephew, who's I think about 8 or 9 years old, didn't know who Rahul Dravid was. Okay, he had never heard of Rahul Dravid, and he calls himself an avid cricket fan. So, pardon me for asking this very question. You're going to be popularizing Binka games and their various new offerings. Isn't that going to be a big challenge that, if today's kids don't know Rahul Dravid, we want them to know you, and of course you are in the commentators box, but nevertheless I am asking you this question.
Yes, I think that's a challenge. Definitely it's a challenge because clearly the younger generation would know those they are seeing on television playing the game. And maybe I think my advantage would be that I'm still on television, albeit in a commentator's position. Maybe that's not what happened with Rahul Dravid. Rahul has been in the background, which is always what he has been in the game of cricket as well. I mean, he's done his bit, but at the same time allowed others to come and take the limelight. But yes, I think that's a challenge. That's a challenge definitely, and that's what we are looking to overcome, because it's a challenge to get the kids to follow and to play this game. Because if they can do it, and we are hoping that they will be our biggest customers. They will be telling their parents, hello, listen, we want to play this game. And I think that is going to be the challenge, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Or you could alternatively also I'm saying market this game to people from your generation, right? Is that something that you've thought about? Because what greater brand ambassador than them, and they already have the money. They don't need to go to anyone to spend money.
Yes, I think that's also something which can be done. I think this is an all generations game, really. But clearly, I think when you're younger, and that is the time when you're a lot more enthusiastic about a particular sport. As you get older, obviously you follow the sport, but that same kind of intensity of following is probably not there. And that's the reason why I think the younger generation would be our prime target. But people who are playing the game, people who are retired from the game, people who have retired from life, in the sense that they're not doing anything, just leading a retired life. For them also, it'll be a great way to pass the time.
Mr. Gavaskar, since you said you're starting up with a startup, it's a new innings in your life. Is this something that you're perhaps looking at doing a lot more or a little bit more of? I'm asking this question also on behalf of many entrepreneurs, founders, startups that are watching this show and may want to reach out to you. And how should they reach out to you? And what would interest Sunil Gavaskar, the investor?
Well, I think something that will want me to get involved in it as well. And because I might not have the expertise to be involved in a small way is something that I certainly would want to get involved with. Things to do with social development, community development. That is something that I would certainly be very, very interested in, because while sports has been very well looked after, I think to try and make a contribution to the community, to society, is something that I would be very interested in.
Sunil Gavaskar, before I let you go, I'm going to ask you one question. A little offbeat, but like I said, I told my father I'm interviewing you. He and all his friends have been messaging me incessantly since then. In 1979, the first test against England, was Jeffrey Boycott out or not? Because he went on to make a big 100.
1970, oh, he was out. He will say he was not out, but he was out. Yes, he definitely was.
Mr. Gavaskar, thank you so much for joining us here, and I'm sure...
But Jeffrey never walked.
Yeah, he didn't walk. I remember that as well. I remember seeing the replay of that. I've read a lot about it. But Mr. Gavaskar, thank you so much for joining us here on Startup Central. I don't think you need our luck. You already know what you need to do, and I'm sure you're going to be a legendary investor as well.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to playing the game cricket with you soon.
Done. Well, you just heard it from Sunil Gavaskar himself on why he invested in Binca Games. Now let's go across to the founders of Binca Games. It's husband and wife duo, Sahil and Rubianka, who are joining us here on Startup Central. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Dangerous, you get in the business of games, competitive games, and your husband, wife, do you ever play on the same team or against each other?
Thank you for having us. To be completely honest, it's way more fun when we're competing with each other. I have no interest in being in the same team, and I'm more interested in beating her all the time.
Yeah, but he keeps saying that he beats me all the time, but he doesn't always, but he likes to boast and gloat about it. But yeah, we like competing against each other. It's great fun, actually.
So tell me, how did Binca Games start?
So actually it started with me because I loved playing board games growing up, and honestly we had only a handful of board games to play and choose from, and I got a bit tired of playing the same thing over and over again. And as we grew up, we got more involved in what's happening outside of India, and I saw that there's so much more happening in the UK and in Germany and in the US in terms of board games, and I thought there's a whole other universe out there that we don't even know of. And then one night we were at my friend's house and we were playing this little word game. And I just thought that, listen, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can make up something, a game that I want to play. And it all just steamrolled from there. And I was just like, okay, maybe we can give this a real shot. And it all started as a hobby because I said, okay, let me see what I can do with this. And then from there, playing it with my friends, with my family, they said there's something here. And I took a closer look at that. And I said, okay, maybe we can make this a business and make playing games a business. So that's where it all started for me, to be honest, just to have fun.
And then she hired you, Sahil? Is she your boss?
Yeah, she is, in all respects. I mean, I keep telling people I'm the pune and she's the boss, and I do the running around, and she kind of just tells me where to go all day long.
That is absolutely untrue. Please don't believe a word he says, guys. It's not true.
So then when you get really serious, because, I guess it must have started by you guys. I don't know, I'm asking you, did it all start with you guys maybe just, or Rubianka starting off by making the games, literally by writing down the cards herself, or, cutting out a cardboard or something? When did it get really serious?
To be honest, that's been the way it's been continuing throughout. It did start with Rubianka kind of working on cards, drawing. But
I still do that though. That's how I make my prototypes.
Does that. That's her process and how she works. I think we came to a point where when we were deciding to take this company forward, and we started with our first game, which was called Flutter. At that point, we were still trying to understand the industry. Once we got a good response from that product, and we felt like, okay, we've done something, that kind of gave us a push to take this forward. And since then, which has now been 2014, we've not looked back. It's always been, what can we do next? How can we take this forward? How can we expand? How can we be one of the companies that started in India, but now it's all over the world? So we've been slowly trying to achieve that dream.
So then, how did you guys react? Were you watching that IPL match when, those guys were playing Flutter and the cameras zoomed in? Were you guys watching it, or did someone tell you about it?
Someone told us about it later, actually, and it was pretty cool. It was so exciting. I was just like, oh my God, that's awesome.
I mean, for us, it was just great to see.
It really was.
And is that how you started thinking of a cricket game? Did you think of it before, or did that happen after you saw or you heard about what happened?
No, actually, Sal's been pushing me to make a cricket game for a while now, and I've been resisting it, to be very honest, because I didn't think I could live up to the challenge of cricket. It's huge in India. It's a religion here. And I was like, what if I don't get every aspect of the game right, and that would be completely not right for me to do as a game maker myself. But he pushed me into it, and I gave it a thought, and I said, okay, listen, I'm up for the challenge, and let's see what I can do with this. And I think we're pretty happy with what we've come up with, and it's very exciting to actually have a cricket game that you can play one-on-one just lying in bed. It's pretty cool.
And who reached out to Sunil Gavaskar? How did that happen?
To be honest, the reason I pitched cricket to Bianca was the fact that we've done a word game, we've done a party game, we've seen the responses we've received from all games. Cricket was a strategic play in terms of talking about something that everybody in this country already knows and loves. Not everybody plays a word game, not everybody wants to play a party game, but you would say 99% of Indians want to play cricket, hear about cricket, talk about cricket. It became a thing where we just felt like this is better to take the company forward. Once we decided that cricket was the way forward, since Mr. Gavaskar had already played our game Flutter before, and we've had a couple of interactions with him, both of us felt like it would be the right thing to do to go and kind of talk to him. Firstly, show him the game, get his response, get his feedback, see if we're doing the right thing, because you don't want to enter this space and do something wrong. Again, because it's loved so much that it's easy to be taken in the wrong way. So we sat down with him, and that kind of conversation went into would he like to be part of the company, and he very graciously said yes.
So you've now got Sunil Gavaskar on board, and with that you can get access to so many cricketers, not just Indian, but from other countries, not just from his generation, but younger too. Yeah. Is that the game plan?
Yeah. I mean, that's something we'll have to discuss with him. If it happens, there's no denying the fact that that'll be a great help to the company and to get the game forward. For us, as many people as we can get to speak about the game, it's better for us, because we really think this game has the potential to be bought by everybody, like you said, all over the world. It's not just India, it's South Africa, it's Australia, it's West Indies. I mean, cricket is just big all over. So that's something that when we sit down with him next, we're going to decide how we can probably use or see what help he can give us in that direction also.
So now, this cricket game is obviously going to be your fifth one. You've already got Flutter Fuse, you've got Whitewashers, as well as Spill. Is Flutter your bestseller?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
How many versions have you sold, or how many SKUs have you sold?
So of Flutter, we've done close to around 80,000 units till date. I think we've picked up, I would say between 80 to 90,000 odd.
How many games have you sold in all?
So we have 5 SKUs. We sell all 5.
No, what I mean is how many SKUs have you sold in all? Like if I want to get an idea of how big, Binka Games is, so you sold 80,000 of Flutter, but if I were to look at all the games together in India and the UK?
In totality, I would say we're close to around 2 lakh.
Okay, 2 lakh games you've sold. You've got Sunil Gavaskar, you're doing a cricket game. What about Bollywood? If cricket is a religion in India, so is Bollywood.
I actually gave that a little tiny thought, but I'm not still sure. Like if I get another nudge from him to like do it, maybe I'll do it like he did with cricket. But as of now, I'm not entirely sure if I want to go down that road. But let's see, you never know. Like I said, I'll never do a cricket game, but look, here we are.
I mean, if there's anyone in Bollywood looking at creating a game, please get in touch with us.
Okay, you're pitching right here on Startup Central, and you do realize by saying that if he nudges me, you've kind of anyway given away that he's the boss of you.
See, this is what I'm saying. Don't believe a word he says.
There is
Trust me.
no single guy who's the boss. It's always the woman that wins and she's the boss. It's better for every guy to know that.
I'm going to agree with Sahil on that one. Now, guys, back to serious business. How big are you guys? Are you looking at fundraising? How are you going to be scaling up?
Currently, we consider ourselves a startup. We're still in the space of what happens all over the world, a very small company. For us, cricket is a big step to take and literally double what we've been doing over the last 2-3 years, because till now we've been self-funded. This is the first investment we've taken in our company, and I think what we're going to see is wait for another 6 months to understand where we go with this particular game. And if there is an opportunity to take more or raise more money and take this forward, we're open to it. If we feel like this game is done enough and we feel like it will, then we could always sit down with Mr. Gavaskar and see if how else we can take that and grow the company forward.
With that, guys, thanks so much for joining us here on Startup Central. Here's wishing you all the very best, and here's to many more competitive games. We certainly love them here.
Thank you so much.